Greetings people, it's Jared here, Wolfgang1, back to do another Transformers review. So this one was requested of me by the man himself, Dan, Tatamus Prime on YouTube. If anyone's not familiar with Tatamus Prime, then head over to his channel, the link will be in the description below. He is one of the OG Transformers reviewers. He started the same time I did, we became fast friends. He takes more hiatuses than I do, but then again he's got better reasons than I do. So he requested of me a couple of weeks ago, he said I'd love to see you do this Transformer, so I said I'd be more than happy to do this for you and then shout you out massively in the video. So yeah, so this is the review for Generation 1 Shockwave. Right, so here is Shockwave in his alternate mode, his space gun mode. This mold isn't a Hasbro or Takara one. I think, who the fuck was it licensed from? I think it was a license from Bandai or someone like that. I mean, if I actually looked at the figure, I could probably see for myself, but because I don't prepare for these reviews properly, I'm clearly not going to do that. So basically, when Hasbro took Takara's toys and everything like that and rebranded it all as Transformers, then they started pulling licenses from like sort of Bandai, other companies that I can't think of off the top of my head. Anything that basically transformed into a robot was repackaged, licensed, and like put out in the mainline. Shockwave was a 1985 bot, and the original toy was like sort of Astro Man or Astro Magnum or something like that, and it was like a gun metallic grey thing. There might have been like variations on the theme, like in terms of the colours and that. But he, yeah, so that was his original form. Interestingly enough, they did less than fuck all to change his animation model from actually what the toy was, which was a surprise to me, because they reworked Jetfire into Skyfire, and the change to the animation model was like virtually like advertising like a completely different toy. But for some reason, for Shockwave, they didn't change anything about the animation model. It's very much, well, he looks a little bit more coherent in the animation model, but what I mean is it was very, very clearly what the toy was supposed to be. And this one, I bought this, I think, in 2016. And I remember how much I paid for it, because, you know, I'm on the spectrum, clearly. I got this from Toy Food. This was the obligatory Toy Food purchase, and this was one of the last purchases I made that year. And I paid £80 for this. So I thought to myself, £80 for a G1 Shockwave, it's not too bad. And this one is in remarkable condition. There is a slight issue with mine, the fact that this back section here doesn't go all the way down, and when I try moving it down, it feels like it wants to snap. I can feel the plastic resisting the urge to move and like join this gap up just here. And he's got a broken gun on his hand. He's got one hand and one laser gun, and that the barrel on that is sheared right off. But when I bought this, they also included a spare, because I acknowledged it was broken. So they chucked in this spare for free, which I thought was really, really, really cool. As you can see, I've not put this on at all. I thought it was just a case of I'd taken this screw out here and then just sliding it on. But you've got this little bit here, which I think involves taking the arm apart, getting the wires down this, because this was electronic, battery operated, getting the wires down this part here, and the LED lights, and then putting the arm back together and then fastening this in. So that's why I've not done it. I should do, I just haven't, evidently. But considering that this isn't a knockoff or anything like this, this is the real deal. Considering that this is what it is and how old it is, I'm surprised that it's in such remarkable condition. But then again, if it was buggered and 6 ways to fucked, then there's no way they could have charged 80 quid for it, in my mind anyway. And when it came to the Masterpiece version is almost exactly the same size as this, and the transformation has about 3 or 4 more steps in it, but ultimately is almost exactly the same, which I think is kind of cool. I would have liked to have seen the Masterpiece version actually in these colours, weirdly, because the colours that they've got for the original release of MP Shockwave, no, we're not reviewing that figure. When they did the second run and did the animation accurate colours, I thought I kind of got a little bit fucked on that one. I should have held out and got a second one, but I didn't know they were going to do a second release, so you know that's on me. One thing you will notice on this figure is this rubber hose thing. Now, various and quite numerous, more often than not, examples of Shockwave will see that this tube here is cracked or split or anything like that. So over time, depending on various circumstances like ambient temperature and like sort of sunlight or whatever the case may be, or just time, this rubber hose tends to crack, split, come off completely, and will normally start cracking about here, where this molding joint is. And if I can get a close up of that. There we are. Yeah, it will start splitting around there. But this one here has got absolutely no evidence of any splitting or any cracking or any fucking about or anything like that. Which, you know, kind of makes me think 80 quid was a good deal, quite frankly. So this was battery operated. The battery, I believe, sits in this compartment at the back. Thankfully, it doesn't have a battery in it. Because I can only imagine the lights and sounds, especially the sounds that this thing makes, would be comparable to a cat being run down a blackboard, a chalkboard, or as I like to call it, G1 Galvatron. I can only imagine it's as hideous as that. Feels very, very nice in the hand. Feels like sort of weighty. There is die-cast metal in this. So it feels good in the hand. It's to complement G1 Galvatron or G1 Megatron. It's nice to have. It feels good when you like, hold the trigger and hold him in the palm of your hand like that. He is a slight parts former. This barrel does come off for the transformation and sadly doesn't peg anywhere. The Masterpiece version did fix that. Perhaps I'll do a review of the Masterpiece version at some point as I keep fucking talking about it. So yeah, it comes with this spare blaster, which, you know, I can use this little screwdriver here, but I haven't bothered. Let's get rid of this shit here at the back, because I was only using this to stand him up. Yeah, that's gone. And talk about Shockwave himself. Now, when I started doing these reviews again, I thought, oh, maybe I should talk about the characters and the voice actors and the characters in the cartoon and like the G1 comic and things like that. I can talk a little bit about that in this sense because the transformation is going to be really simple for this, and there's not going to be really a lot to say about it. In the cartoon, he's like sort of cold, like sort of loyal to Megatron and sort of a bit of an arse licker. Stays behind on Cybertron, which is why he hasn't got an Earth alt mode. And in the comics, he's a cold, calculating, ruthless bastard. Commands the Decepticons at one point. Takes out all the Transformers at the end of the original, well, what was supposed to be the end of the comic run, but they extended it. And had like sort of showed up various times. Went a bit mental when he realised he was going to be killed in the future by Cyclonus. I think he eventually died in the Time War. He voluntarily threw himself into a vortex or something. I don't know. I mean, it's been years since I read them, and I don't have the complete set. So Shockwave is, you know, he's not to be fucked with. I mean, you can just see from his alt mode here that he's not to be fucked with in any way, shape or form. I don't know if Shockwave was available in the UK. I don't know if he was available. I didn't know anyone who had this. He could have been one of those ones like, I think like sort of Roadbuster, I think, and like a couple of other Transformers that just wasn't released here in the UK. So being able to actually have him in my collection is all kinds of awesome. So yeah, so that's him. He's got a fantastic Decepticon symbol on what will eventually be his chest there. He's got a nice little rub sign there that still works. This one it's showing its age a little bit. As I said, still in great condition apart from this fucking thing that I can't get to sit down. He is showing his age a little bit in the sense that I have to get him in a very, very particular position. Otherwise, he won't stand up under his own weight. And I'll show you what I mean there. So let's take it to the transformation. Let's zoom out a little bit first so we can, yeah, there we go. So we're going to start by taking this laser sight thing here and just folding that back like that. And then take off the silver barrel. I'll say take off the silver barrel, just there we are. And that's that frees up his hand and his arm eventually. So basically when you press the trigger, it will light up this little section in here, and then we'll light up the bit just in there, which is you know, it's kind of cool. But technically you could class this as an easily lost accessory or part, but not for me because I catalog everything because I'm a bit weird. And so that's basically the Shockwave body. And then what we do is we fold this section up here that doesn't want to sit down properly and fold it all the way to the back like that. And then we want to bring the what do we want to do here? Bring the legs down. See, you've got springs. You see just the springs in there. Bring the legs up like this, and then this is a slightly tricky part. You need to get the metal. Let's get that to focus. You want to get the metal just there, past this hip guard thing, which can cause slight issues. But once you do it, it's fine. So this might take a while. There we go. You want to just like keep, sort of doing that with it. And then do the same on the other side. And then friction will hold that in place. Fucking hell. Right, and then fold down or fold out these tabs for the feet, like that, on both sides. So in terms of the die cast, he's got die cast in the top of the thighs just here, and his feet as well, which is kind of cool. That foot's a bit loose, doesn't want to stay in properly, but whatever. So that's Shockwave there. So I'm going to raise the camera up just a little bit. Everything's falling apart, of course it is. Right, so like that. And then you want to split this section just here. Let's get a little bit more light on this so we can see what we're doing. This is another travesty of a review. This is a Wolfgang 1 review, ladies and gentlemen. You're used to this. Split this section just here, which will form the arms. And then as you pull them down, the head will automatically pop up like that. And bring these all the way around to the sides. And then flip up his little ears. Like that. And then that is G1 Shockwave in robot mode. Or at least it would be, ladies and gentlemen. As you might have noticed, something's a bit off about him. He is very, very short. Now, actually, I quite dig Shockwave like this, believe it or not. But apparently, his true form... Right, let me take this camera back just a little bit more. Right, okay, his true form is supposed to be this tall. Okay, which really means he doesn't scale very well with the other Decepticons in the 84 to 85 line. The problem with my one is this leg here is just wants to collapse in on itself all the time. And as a result, the other one has a tendency to follow. See, if I'm trying to stand him up, and now he's going to do it because apparently this toy is a cunt. No, see, he's still, yeah. So what I need to do is when I've got him in my shelf, I've got him right in the corner, in the back, and his head turns around a little bit. So so his head spins around. So I've got him looking sideways. What I should do is just not worry about what his full height is, and if I so much as move him or try to touch him, that leg and both legs actually collapse in on themselves. The left one has got worse over time because the right one refuses to play ball, and it was like that when I got it. I appreciate the toy when I bought it was 30 years old, so I'm not expecting miracles, and I still think £80 is a great deal for a toy that wasn't released in the UK. So there we are. So you can see. Do you know what? Let's just squat him like that so I can get the camera in so you can see more of him. You can see that from hang on, what the hell am I doing? There we are. There he is. He's not really any different from his animation model at all, really. I mean, they took virtually no liberties with him whatsoever. And yeah, I dare say if I actually managed to get him to his full stature, he's quite an imposing bot. Doesn't scale very well with them at all, but then again, I guess he's a bit like Jetfire in that sense, the fact that he just like doesn't scale with the rest of them very well. Although in terms of like the cartoon lore, Jetfire actually probably works better than Shockwave does. I would have thought Shockwave would be better as a little bit taller than Megatron or Soundwave, but not much in it. But this guy, when stood up, is quite big. So trying to stand him up and he won't stand up. You can go fuck yourself. There we are. He's and he's a G1, so he's quite basic, and he's not a full-fledged Transformer as he was a licensed mold from Mattel or Bandai or fucking whoever else was fucking running this game back in the 80s. Yeah, so he's got his flaws. He's a bit gangly looking. He's a bit awkward looking. I actually quite like him. He's not my favourite Generation 1. by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, I know Matt Timey, he's a massive Shockwave fan, and you know, I could see why the voice acting, the characterization was pretty cool, and his characterization in the comics was outstanding. Toy wise, again, out of all 3 iterations, the toy is the one that's lacking out of all of them. I can see why he likes it. He's not my favourite Decepticon, he's not my favourite Transformer. I got him because he fills a very, very particular hole in my quite extensive Generation 1 collection. If I didn't have a G1 Shockwave in my Generation 1 collection, I'd feel like my Generation 1 collection was lacking because I didn't have him. So he fills that purpose very, very nicely. But in terms of actually being like a sort of like a display bot, he sits right at the back. Yeah, he's pretty cool. He's pretty cool. Not, as I said, just not my favourite. Maybe I would have more time for him if he didn't want to keep collapsing in on his legs. I mean, where I've got him positioned at the moment, I'm a bit afraid to move him or even breathe on him because he's just going to collapse to the side. You know, he is what he is. He's pretty cool. I'm glad I've got him. And he does look very nice along with Megatron, Soundwave, and Starscream and Devastator on my shelf. So yeah, 80 quid, despite his flaws, despite a couple of the mold's failings, especially in terms of like the weak legs and everything like that. I can't really complain, especially as I said, I acknowledge that the weak legs are probably due to age more than the actual mold or anything like that. One thing I have heard about though is these plastic sections here have a tendency to snap with the more of the leg wiggling that you do to try and get the legs separated. So that there's actually supposedly a weak point in this section here. My one obviously doesn't have it, but the weakness is in this joint just here. So yeah, that's my review. Would I recommend him? If you're a G1 purist, a G1 enthusiast, and you absolutely have to have a complete G1 collection, then obviously it's a given you've got to get him. I heard that they did a reissue, not a reissue, a knockoff of this guy a few years back. I couldn't tell you what the build quality was like. Wherever possible, I've always gone for the original article. In fact, yeah, I own one knockoff, and that's Generation 1 Swoop. But I always try to go for the original article or official reissue wherever possible. And as Hasbro never officially reissued this guy, here he is, the original article. So yeah, for all intents and purposes, he's a pretty cool bot. But in terms of all the other toys that I've got in my collection, he doesn't particularly pop or stand out for me. But I like him nonetheless. So ladies and gentlemen, that was my rambling review. Thank you very much for watching this. This is Gerard Gavenberry, also known as Wolfgang1, saying I want to give a massive thank you to Tatmus Prime, my brother Tatmus Prime, for requesting this review of me. Dan, I hope you enjoyed it. And I will be back in time for more reviews, more 7 Days to Die, and some of that other content that I'm still trying to put together. I have started the TF comic, believe it or not, but that's proving very, very difficult to get the feel and the tone that I want to set for it. Incidentally, if anyone's interested, I don't say you are, but I might as well try and haul this out while I'm here. I recently opened up a Patreon account, so if you feel like becoming a channel sponsor, like a channel patron, head on over to my Patreon account. The links will be in the I think the description bar or somewhere on my channel, and you can pledge money and be included in my videos to some degree or another, as well as other bonus content depending on what you want to donate. If you want to donate at all, your choice is entirely up to you. I'm not very good at whoring myself out in terms of things like that, especially if I've just started it, but even in terms of like whoring out my channel, I'm not very good at that. Please rate, comment, subscribe, at least watch the fucking video, because that seems to be an issue these days. But yeah, I do hope you enjoyed this. This is Gerard Gavenberry, rambling as he always rambles in any video that he does, saying I will be back soon. Until then, ladies and gentlemen, take care.